Is F30 BMW M4 is still a good buy in 2022? That's the question we're gonna try to answer today. And to answer that question, we're gonna review the car, we're gonna take it out on the road, we're gonna drive it, we're gonna take 0 to 60 time. I know you guys all care about the 0 to 60 time. And we're gonna talk about the reliability, common issues. I'm gonna interview the owners.
Perfect.
This particular model is 2018 model, about 46,000 miles on it. The car, as you can see, is in great shape. You know, I like this color, which is the standard color for the competition version. So first things first, let's walk around the car and take a look at the design. First reason why you should be considering F82 instead of G82 is because it doesn't have those obnoxious and ridiculous kidney grills. In my mind, this is one of the most aggressive BMWs out there. This bumper is gonna be the most aggressive bumper. If you don't like this look, then I don't know what else you can like, really. There is no single angle from which I think this car looks ugly. You know, if you look at it head on, the front is really aggressive. If you look at it like this from the quarter panel, it's really aggressive. If you go to the back, the rear end, you know, fender flares looks nice and wide and also very aggressive. We've got aluminum hood, carbon fiber roof. This is my favorite part, and I believe even the trunk is carbon fiber. It's definitely not metal. It's either plastic like fiberglass or something, but I've heard it's also carbon fiber. And then you have a carbon fiber spoiler, carbon fiber exhaust tip, quad exhaust, standard for all BMW M series. The tail lights, you know, I don't like the taillights of the most recent M4s. This one, in my mind, still has that kind of classic BMW design to it. You know, full LEDs, nice and sexy. So the car came with multiple rim choices. These particular rims are called 437M. In my mind, they fit this car the most. You know, especially with this color combination, this blue, San Marino blue, and then the black rims. So we have staggered tires, 255 35/19s up front, to 75 35/19s on the back. The brakes are nice and big. I believe we have 2 pistons on the rear and 4 in the front. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. So these are not carbon ceramic brakes, but I believe they are 2-piece. Yeah, they do 2-piece rotors for weight saving, and also that helps on the track because the rotors you know, cool off much faster. It's not quite matching the color of the car, but we have painted calipers, also blue. All right, Justin, thank you so much for providing your car for the review. Let's talk a little bit about technical kind of specs and reliability and your ownership experience. There's an ample amount of carbon fiber everywhere, which I love a lot. I think it makes the car look really aggressive, and it also adds to the rigidity of the body. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Awesome. To my knowledge, this is 3-liter turbocharged inline 6.
Yep, it's a 3-liter straight 6 twin turbocharged engine, S55.
S55, okay.
In the stock non-competition spec, it makes around 420 wheel horsepower, and I think about 400 pound-feet of torque.
I think this is about 3,600 pounds or something like that in terms of weight. So they try to reduce weight by adding carbon fiber here and there. But, and you know, for a car like this, for the current standards, for nowadays standards, I think it's lightweight, but you know, it's still a heavy car. I think you shouldn't be expecting too much problems with this, maybe not at all, because BMW had been making this you know, various variants of this engine for a while now. The first iterations were not so good, but then again, the car itself, this particular model, has been in production since 2015. So they've been kind of honing in on kind of improvements and making it more reliable. I've heard many people taking it to the track without having much kind of heat problems, and the oil, you know, isn't an issue. There's no, you can go basically around the track all day long without worrying about the engine components getting lubricated. What, if any, kind of like common problems are you aware of, and what would you recommend to those? You probably made your own research when buying one, right? So what should be people kind of like looking out for when buying one?
Well, if you're looking at an M3 or an M4, everyone's going to tell you to watch out for the crank hub, spinning the crank hub. I have done the four pin upgraded rotor on there already, so I don't have to worry about it. And it's not as common as you would think. It's mostly common in like higher powered tuned cars. So if you're pushing like 600 horsepower, there's a higher chance of that happening. If you're stock, it's a much lower chance. But it still does happen on like some cars, but it is very non-common.
Gotcha. What about transmission? Any known issues with the transmission?
With the transmission, no, not really. It's been fine for me the whole time. I haven't had any problems. I just did the GTS transmission flash, and it shifts a lot faster and has better gear changing programming. Mm-hmm. And then I think looking online, some people have also been having problems with, it was like the oil filter housing leaking, like the gaskets on that and like the valve cover. Yeah. But I haven't had any problems at all.
Yeah. And for how long have you had it?
I've had this car for about 6 months now.
Okay. Awesome. Well, do you know if the G82 has the same engine or not?
No, the G82 has the S58. It's still a 3-liter straight 6 turbocharged or twin turbocharged engine, but it puts out more power, and it's based off of the B58, which is in like the BMW 340, 440, like all of the BMW cars with the 4D designation on it.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why you should be considering F82 instead of G82, because that engine is, although it's based on the existing engines, it's relatively new, right? In its like that in that version of it, versus this one has been around for like 5-6 years, and that new engine makes only like 50, I believe, more horsepower than this. You can tune this to much higher horsepower, obviously, and price wise, I mean, prices are crazy nowadays. What would you think this go for like nowadays?
Well, right now with the current used car market, it is a lot higher than you would expect. This, I would say, around 55 to 60,000 still. Yeah, 50 to 60 range, right? And then the new one is probably like pushing like 90, right? If you get the M4 X Drive, yeah, it's like about 90,000. Yeah, 9,000, and if you can get it, because right now there's a shortage of everything. So in my mind, we are expecting, at least here in the States, a big recession. So if you are kind of like gonna spend your last money, don't. Obviously, I'm not here to give you like financial advices, but if you, let's say, have a cash sitting, or you sold your other car and you're looking like for an M4, in my mind, like this makes it best bang for the buck. Right off the bat, this is what I was talking earlier. I like that reverse is to the left and forward. The camera is nice and crisp. We are in 4th gear. We are going about 55. Insanity. It's just insanity. It's just like so fast. It feels so lightweight. I know it's not like super lightweight, but it does feel lightweight, and it's just like it has so much like potential. It's just like goes and goes, does not feel like it's losing any power towards the top end. Yeah, it holds the gear. Nice and crisp. When you let off the gas, there's nice. Yeah, there's like a little like not a burble, but like a fart almost, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can describe it.
It's so nice and tight around the turns. Very impressive. You know, honestly, like, especially since this is tuned, I was expecting this would be kind of like more scary. Maybe because I have the traction all the way on, you know. But I feel confident. I don't feel like, oh, it constantly spins, like, you know, wants to go sideways. I'm pretty sure it can when you want it. The acceleration pedal and the brake pedal are really close, and it takes some getting used to. In a non-aggressive setting in sport, there is a slight delay in the transmission shift. You know, maybe it's a turbo lag. I think it's just like was not as aggressive and then like as responsive as when you were pushing it, because you were, I believe, in Sport Plus, right?
Well, yeah, I was in not the throttle, but the transmission.
Yeah. No, the brakes are more than enough, and they're very linear. I think like they're like really easy to modulate, right?
These cars are sharp.
But these Mexican roads are so much fun in a BMW. Just leave it in the third gear and have all the fun you can. It just like gives you so much confidence going around the turns. Not too much. Yeah, the traction control does an amazing job, you know, when it's on. I accelerated like fairly quickly from there, and it didn't even, like, you know, didn't even spin tires. Okay. Yeah, you can get in this car, you know, you get in this car and it's like the steering wheel, the interior, the shift lever. I don't know, this all is kind of like so enticing and inviting to drive spiritually. That even in comfort, it likes revving. It likes revving to like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. Okay, so as it makes sense, as you feel comfortable, take us for a little bit of a faster drive.
All right, I'll slow down a little bit and let these guys get some space in front of them.
Yeah. You know, there are a lot of tourists in Mexico, so we cannot go too fast. We are in Mexico right now.
Yeah. It's very green in Mexico this year.
Yeah. Oh god. The torque is almost instantaneous.
It's green, and it's so fast. I love it.
I don't know if we are going really fast or it feels faster than it is, but it feels really fast.
Definitely not a slow car. Not the fastest thing on the road, but faster than like 99% of cars. I think it's definitely pretty quick.
Yeah. What I love about like BMW transmissions, I don't know if I don't think like any of the Mercedes or Audis ever had this, and I don't know if the newer generation BMWs have the same transmission setting, which is you can tune how aggressively or how fast it shifts. Do you know if they preserve that in the ZF transmission in the G82?
I think they do have it, but it's nowhere near as aggressive as this car is when it's in the.
It just can't be.
Third. Yeah. This one, it just kicks you in the back every single time you upshift when you're full on throttle.
Yeah.
It's just like the extra little bit of physical connection you have with the car that the new ones really don't have as much.
Yeah, the ZF transmission, you know, it's a real automatic with a torque converter. You know, it's a great transmission. It's very reliable and very fast for like torque converter, but it just like can't have that feeling, like, you know, like pushing back of the kind of sensation you get from dual clutch robot. It spins wheels. It can, you know, the traction comes on like in what, like third, fourth gear. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really turn off traction control fully on the street. I always leave it either fully on or MDM, because MDM it'll let you spin a little bit,
Yeah.
but it won't let you go sideways and wreck your car around the tree.
What does MDM stand for? That's
It's like M Dynamics mode, I think is what the acronym stands for.
Gotcha. So it lets you to have fun, but it also tries to save your life whenever it feels like you are about to kill yourself. Yeah. Inside, it's actually narrower, smaller than the car seems from the outside. From the outside, you have like fender flares. It looks so kind of like wide. Inside, there's enough space. I'm not saying it's a tight space, but it's like much smaller inside than you would guess by looking outside. From outside, I would say the C-Class maybe looks more modern than this. Does it have a tune on it? ECU tune?
Yep. It has downpipes and it has the boot mode stage 2 tune. So it should make about 500 wheel horsepower, like 490 to 500, and I think a little bit more like 520, 530 pound-feet of torque on that tune. So it's plenty for the street. Just lights up the back tires in first, second, sometimes in third if you're not too careful with it.
This car is like tail happy like stock. I can't.
Yeah.
So tuned, it's probably even yeah. You gotta be really careful. I noticed you have a blank in the place of the adaptive suspension, so you don't have a suspension. But have you modified suspension itself?
I have the Öhlins road and track coilovers on there.
Okay.
It was well worth the money. I was originally going to go with the Bilstein PS 110s, I think, like the B16s, but they were back ordered for months and months, so I spent the extra grand and got the Öhlins, and
Yeah.
it was worth it. It rides really well.
If your goal is to have a plush ride, then you should probably look at like 440 or 430.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the negatives. And the trunk is small.
It's a little small, yeah.
Do the rear seats pull down?
I actually have never tried. I think, I don't know, it might, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't add that function in there just for added weight savings.
Yeah. The roof, it's nice and black, but it is not Alcantara, and to my knowledge, they didn't even have that option. For stereo, we have Harman Kardon. Some people, again, see that as negative, say that it sounds good, but doesn't sound great.
Yeah, that's what I believe. It's definitely passable for this level of car.
The tank size.
It is a little small, but I still get pretty good fuel range out of it. It's a little smaller than a normal 4 Series. I want to say it's like about 14 gallons, while the normal 4 Series is like 16 or 17.
If you are not flooring it or driving spiritually, what would be the average MPG?
I think stock it's like 24 highway and 17 city. I average about 20 because I don't really drive too aggressively everywhere I go. Like if I'm going out to like a back road like this, like I normally go on the highway for a bit and just cruise around and save fuel, and then I'm a little more spirited on the back roads.
What I just noticed is the brake pedal is really narrow. It's very strange for an automatic transmission, because in automatic usually, right, the brake pedal is wider than the gas, like acceleration. In this one, it's the same brake pedal that you would find on a manual car.
Yeah.
I think so. On one hand, it underlines that this car was built like as a stick shift, like was designed as a manual in the first place, which is awesome. But then it's strange that they just couldn't give you like wider brake on automatic. So